Right now, someone is taking their last breath. Not as a metaphor, literally, somewhere, in a hospital room or a quiet house or the back of an ambulance, a person who woke up this morning with plans, with things left unsaid, with people they were going to call, with a Tuesday they assumed was coming, is leaving, and the people who love them are standing in a hallway, or sitting in a waiting room, or staring at a phone that just rang, discovering that the world they knew 10 minutes ago no longer exists. You felt that, or you will, and in that moment, in the specific, suffocating silence of that moment, the question arrives. Not gently, not philosophically, like a fist through glass. Where did they go? Not the body. The body is still there. You can see it. But them, the laugh, the way they said your name, the specific weight of their presence in a room, the version of you that only existed around them. Where is that now? Most people spend their entire lives running from this question. Not because they're weak, because the mind, left alone with it, hits something with no bottom. A silence so absolute it feels like falling. But here is what nobody prepares you for. The people who have actually crossed that threshold, who have stood on the other side of it and been pulled back, they don't come back terrified. They come back changed, not at peace with the idea of death, at peace with death itself, as if they went to the edge of everything and found on the other side not an ending, but a door. Tonight, we're going to walk toward that door together, not to give you easy answers, but because what science, philosophy, and thousands of people who have faced the edge have discovered about consciousness and what happens after it's gone is stranger and more beautiful than the silence we've been trained to keep. Let's start with something that sounds simple but isn't. You know you're conscious right now. That fact, the raw fact of your own awareness, is the only thing in the universe you can be completely certain of. Everything else could theoretically be an illusion. The chair you're sitting on, the people in your life, even your memories. But the awareness experiencing all of it, that can't be faked. It's already here. It's the thing doing the questioning. So when philosophers and neuroscientists talk about the hard problem of consciousness, this is what they mean. We can explain almost everything about the brain. We can watch neurons fire when you recognize a face, feel grief, taste coffee. We can map every circuit, but we cannot explain at all why any of that physical activity produces experience, why it feels like something, why there's a you inside the machinery. Daniel Dennett, one of the most influential philosophers of the modern era, spent decades arguing that this you, the inner observer, is actually an illusion, that there's no single theater in the brain where consciousness happens, no central viewer, just streams of information constantly being edited and revised, creating the feeling of a unified self that was never really there. He called it the multiple drafts model. The self, in his view, isn't a thing. It's a story your brain tells so well that you believe it completely. And if Dennett is right, if the self is a story, then when the brain stops, the story ends. Full stop. Clean. No remainder. That's one answer. But here's where it gets interesting. The same neuroscience that Dennett uses to argue consciousness away has, in the last few decades, produced data that no one expected. Data that forced even committed materialists to pause. Data that came from people who died and came back. In 1975, a philosopher and physician named Raymond Moody published a book that changed the world. He called it life after life. Moody had done something no academic had done seriously before. He sat down with 150 people who had been clinically dead, heart stopped, no detectable brain activity, and been resuscitated, and he asked them, quietly and without judgment, what they remembered. He expected chaos, random hallucinations, nothing coherent. What he found instead stopped him cold. Across 150 different people, different ages, different religions, different countries, some who had never heard of anyone else's experience, the same things kept appearing. The sense of leaving the body, looking down at themselves from above the room, moving through darkness toward a light that wasn't just bright, it was warm, it was familiar, like something they had forgotten they knew. Then a life review, not a highlight reel, the whole thing. Every moment they had ever lived, felt again from the inside, and not just from their own perspective, from the perspective of every person they had ever affected. The kindness they gave felt as if it was received by them. The carelessness, the cruelty also felt, all of it, simultaneously, with absolute clarity, and then a boundary, a point where they were told or somehow understood that they could not go further, and were brought back. They returned different, not shaken, resolved, the fear of death gone. Moody himself was a skeptic. He went into this research expecting to debunk. He documented what he found instead, that the experience of dying for the people who had faced it and returned was consistently described as the most real thing that had ever happened to them, more vivid than life, more coherent than any dream, something they struggled to find language for, not because it was vague, but because normal language was built for a smaller experience than this. The scientific community, predictably, pushed back. Hallucinations, they said, oxygen deprivation, the brain generating comforting narratives as it shuts down. It's a reasonable theory, but it has a problem. In 2008, a neurosurgeon named Dr. Eben Alexander contracted bacterial meningitis, not a mild case, the kind that attacks the cortex directly, the outermost layer of the brain, the part responsible for thought, language, memory, awareness, the part that, in every model of consciousness we have, is where you live. His cortex went offline completely for 7 days. His doctors ran tests throughout his coma. The neural activity required to produce a hallucination, any hallucination, was not present. His brain, during those 7 days, was as close to silent as a living brain can be. When he woke up, he remembered everything. He described moving through a dark, murky realm, something like underground, he said, feeling lost, then breaking through into a vast, brilliant landscape. He described it in detail: golden light, swooping beings, music that seemed to carry meaning the way words carry meaning in our world. And at the center of it, a message not spoken, but understood instantly. You are loved. You have nothing to fear. There is nothing you can do wrong. Dr. Alexander was not a spiritual man before this. He was exactly what his career had trained him to be. Someone who understood the brain as the sole generator of experience, and who therefore had no framework for what happened to him. After his recovery, he spent years attempting to find a neurological explanation for what he experienced. He examined every alternative hallucinations produced by REM intrusion, drug interactions, the limbic system's distress responses, the reconstructive nature of memory. He couldn't make any of them fit, not because he wasn't trying, because a cortex that isn't functioning cannot produce the kind of organized, detailed, emotionally coherent experience he came back with. His conclusion, stated carefully, as a scientist, not as an evangelist, was that he had experienced consciousness operating independently of the brain. not instead of the brain, without it. Here's the question that Dennett's framework and Alexander's experience are both pointing at, from opposite directions. What is consciousness? Not what it does, not where it correlates in the brain. What is it, fundamentally? We don't know. That's not a rhetorical setup. That is the actual state of the science. The hard problem Dennett spent his career trying to dissolve remains unsolved. We have better maps of the brain than ever before. We know more about which regions activate for which experiences. We have fMRI, EEG, decades of lesion studies. We can manipulate mood with electricity. We can erase specific memories with targeted interventions. And we still cannot explain why there is something it feels like to be you. That gap between the physical description of the brain and the lived reality of experience is the exact gap where near-death reports live. Two possibilities sit on either side of it. The first, consciousness is produced by the brain, entirely, completely. When the brain stops, consciousness stops. What NDE survivors experienced was the brain's final electrical activity, vivid, meaningful, but ultimately a farewell broadcast from dying hardware. The second, consciousness is not produced by the brain. The brain receives and organizes it, the way a radio receives a signal, but the signal itself exists independently. When the brain goes offline, the reception stops, but the broadcast continues. Neither position is proven. Both are held by serious, credentialed researchers. But here's what's not uncertain. The pattern of what NDE survivors report, across cultures, across centuries, across every belief system, is remarkably consistent. The out-of-body awareness, the life review felt from other people's perspectives, the encounter with light, the return transformed. These aren't people who read about near-death experiences and incorporated them into their memory. Many of these accounts predate any popular cultural awareness of NDEs, indigenous cultures, medieval accounts from people who were blind from birth and described, for the first time in their lives, visual experience during clinical death. Something is happening. Science hasn't caught up to what it is yet. But let's step back from the metaphysics for a moment, because there's something the life review in particular is pointing at that has nothing to do with whether consciousness continues. Something that applies to you right now, today, in this life, before any of this becomes relevant. The consistent feature of the life review reported across Moody's 150 subjects, across Alexander's account, across thousands of NDE testimonies collected by researchers over the last 50 years, is not the dramatic moments. It's not the great achievements or the catastrophic failures. The moments that glow are the small ones. The time you stayed on the phone with someone who needed it. The time you let someone go ahead of you without thinking twice. The time you told someone the truth when lying would have been easier. The time you said nothing when nothing was the kindest thing. Think about someone you love, not in the abstract. The specific person, the sound of their voice, the way they laugh at something that surprises them. Now imagine feeling, from inside them, what it is like to be loved by you. That's what the life review apparently shows. Not your resume, not your bank account, not the image you spent years building. The felt reality of how you made people feel, one interaction at a time. If that's real, it changes everything about how you move through your days. And if it isn't real, if the materialists are right and death is simply the end, it still changes everything, because the person you are right now will have been exactly that person. What you give to the people around you while you're here is all that gets to stay. The word that shows up again and again in NDE accounts isn't peace or light or even love, though all of those appear. The word that appears most consistently is real, realer than this, realer than anything I had ever experienced, more real than the room I had lived in for 30 years. That word is significant because it means the experience wasn't dreamlike. It wasn't the vague, dissolving quality of a hallucination. These people came back with the conviction that they had touched something more substantial than ordinary life, and that this life, by comparison, is the shadow. Dr. Moody described interviewing people who had encountered deceased relatives during their NDEs, relatives whose deaths they were unaware of at the time, who showed up to meet them at the border, whole and well, before the person even knew they had died. These details have been collected, cross-referenced, verified by separate witnesses. They are not anecdotes. They are documented case studies. And here's where science does something honest when it's working correctly. It says, "We don't have an explanation for this yet." That's not a failure. That's exactly what science is supposed to do when it encounters something that doesn't fit the current model. Acknowledge the gap, hold it open, keep looking. The gap in our understanding of consciousness is enormous. What happens in that gap when the brain stops and something continues or doesn't is one of the most important questions our species has ever asked. We haven't answered it, but we've learned enough to know that the easy answer, death, is simply the off switch, is harder to defend than it used to be. There's something else worth sitting with. You've been alive your whole life. You've been conscious every moment you can remember. And in all that time, the thing doing the experiencing, the awareness, the noticing, the you, has never once felt old. Think about that. Your memories feel old. Your body tells you time has passed. But the awareness that's looking out through your eyes right now, does it feel like it started 30 years ago? Or 40? Or 60? It feels like it arrived. It always feels like it just arrived. Consciousness doesn't accumulate age. It doesn't feel like something that started. It feels like something that is. What does that mean for what happens when it ends? Maybe nothing. Maybe it means the hardware shuts down and the awareness that was operating through it dissolves back into whatever produced it, which could be nothing at all. Or maybe it means something closer to what every tradition, every culture, every person who has come back from the edge has described in different language, that what you are, underneath everything, underneath the name and the face and the memory and the accumulated weight of your particular life, was never as fragile as you feared. Here's what we know, and here's what we don't. We know consciousness depends on the brain. Damage the brain and experience changes. Anesthesia. The brain and awareness stops. The connection is real and undeniable. We don't know whether that dependence means identity. A radio depends on circuitry to play music. Destroy the radio, and the music stops. But the broadcast was never the radio. We know people die. We know for most people death is the end of detectable brain activity. We know for some people something happens during that silence, that they return from changed. We don't know what that something is. We know the life review shows people what they gave to others and what they didn't. We know they come back knowing, in a way they couldn't be taught, that kindness was the point all along. And we know, this part is not uncertain, that you are here right now, that the person you choose to be, starting today, is the only version of you that anyone gets to keep. The question isn't really what happens after you're gone. The question is what you do with the fact that you're still here.
There was a moment, I know, when I was under in the dark, that something, whatever I'd been reduced to, not even consciousness, it was a vague awareness in the dark. I could feel my definitions fading. And beneath that darkness, there was another kind. It was deeper, warm, like a substance. I could feel. I knew my daughter waited for me there. It was so clear. I could feel it. Feel it. I could feel the pieces of my pop, too. It was like I was a part of everything that I ever loved. And we were all. The three of us just fading out. And all I had to do was let go. And I did. I said, darkness, yeah. And I disappeared. But I could still feel her love there. Even more than before. Nothing. Nothing but that love.
But there's something we haven't talked about yet. Something that sits underneath all the neuroscience, underneath the philosophy, underneath even the NDE accounts. Something that doesn't require a near-death experience to understand. Something you already know if you stop long enough to feel it. Think about the last time someone you loved walked into a room, not the memory of it, the actual felt sense of it, the way the air in the room changed, the way your body registered their presence before your mind caught up, the way something in you, something wordless, something older than language, simply knew they were there. Now think about what it would mean to never feel that again, not as an abstract fact, as a lived reality, that specific weight, that specific absence, the chair they used to sit in, the particular silence where their voice used to be. Grief is not irrational. Grief is the body's honest response to the removal of something it had organized itself around. You don't grieve strangers the way you grieve the people who built you, because the people who built you aren't separate from you. They're woven into the way you think, the way you laugh, the fears you carry, the things you find beautiful. When they go, part of the architecture of your inner world goes with them. So what does that mean? If consciousness continues, if the awareness doesn't end, just transforms, then somewhere, right now, the people you have lost are not gone in the way grief makes them feel gone. They are somewhere on the other side of a barrier you haven't crossed yet, whole, aware, carrying perhaps the same love that made their presence so heavy when it left. That's not a promise. Science can't make that promise, but it's not nothing either. Every tradition that has ever grappled seriously with death, not as a coping mechanism, but as a subject of genuine inquiry, has arrived at a version of this same description. A threshold, a realm between this life and whatever comes after. A place where the soul is conscious, aware, experiencing something, not sleeping, not waiting in darkness, but present in a different way than we are present here. Ancient accounts described it as a barrier between worlds, a space where the soul continues to exist, fully aware, in a dimension that overlaps with ours but doesn't interact with it the way we're used to, where time no longer works the way it does here, where the weight of every choice made in this life is felt with a clarity that the noise of daily existence never allowed. The same accounts across thousands of years, across cultures that never spoke to each other, across every version of the question humans have ever asked, describe the same essential shape. Something waits on the other side, and it is not empty. Here's what quantum physics quietly suggests, though it rarely says it this plainly. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. The universe has never, in its entire 14 billion year history, lost a single unit of energy. Everything that has ever existed continues to exist in some form. Matter becomes energy. Energy becomes matter. Nothing is created from nothing. Nothing disappears into nothing. Your body obeys this law completely. The atoms in you right now were forged in stars. They were part of mountains, rivers, other living things before they became you. After you, they'll become something else. The physical material of you is not going anywhere. It's just going to stop being arranged like this. But what about the information? What about the specific pattern? The you-ness of you? The particular configuration of experience and memory and awareness that has never existed before and will never exist again in exactly this form? Physicists Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff spent decades on this question. Their theory, orchestrated objective reduction, proposes that consciousness isn't generated by the brain the way a factory generates a product. It's more like a receiver tuning into something that already exists at the quantum level. Consciousness, in their framework, is a fundamental property of the universe, not produced, received. When the brain stops receiving, what happens to the signal? Penrose and Hameroff suggest the quantum information doesn't disappear. It dissipates back into the universe, into the quantum field that underlies everything, into the fabric of reality itself, which means, in the most rigorous scientific language available to us, you were never fully contained inside your skull. You were never only what the body held. There's a question that children ask, and adults are taught to stop asking. Why does it feel like something to be alive? Not how. Why? Why is there experience at all? Why isn't the universe just mechanism, atoms moving, chemicals reacting, electrical signals firing without anything it feels like from the inside? No one has answered this. Not Dennett, not Penrose, not any neuroscientist or philosopher alive today. The fact that there is something it feels like to be you right now in this moment, watching this video, is the single most mysterious fact in the known universe. More mysterious than dark matter? More mysterious than the origin of time, because at least those things are outside you and you can study them from a distance. This mystery is the thing doing the studying. Consciousness examining consciousness. Awareness asking what awareness is. And here's the thing about a mystery that deep. It doesn't feel like it came from nowhere. When you sit with your own awareness long enough, not thinking about it, just being in it, it doesn't feel like a byproduct. It doesn't feel like an accident of chemistry. It feels like it was here before the chemistry, like the chemistry gave it shape, not existence. Every person who has come back from the edge says the same thing. The awareness on the other side felt more real, not less, not diminished, expanded. Like this life is the narrow version, the compressed, filtered down, body-shaped version of something that exists in a much larger form. Like we are not the wave, we are the ocean, briefly pretending to be a wave. So here's what all of this, the neuroscience, the NDE research, the quantum physics, the ancient accounts, the simple felt fact of your own awareness leaves us with. You are not an accident. The specific awareness watching this video has never existed before. The exact configuration of experience that is you, the things you love, the fears you carry, the particular way you notice the world is not random noise in an indifferent universe. It is something the universe did deliberately, even if that word makes scientists uncomfortable. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through a particular shape, and when that shape ends, the awareness doesn't. It returns to what it always was, to something larger, something that was never born and will never die, something that has been running underneath every moment of your life without you noticing, because you were too busy being in it. The people you've lost are already there. The people who will lose you are not losing you the way they fear. They're losing this shape, this particular, irreplaceable, never to be repeated shape. And that loss is real. That grief is real. Don't let anyone tell you the loss isn't real. But you, the awareness that made this shape you, was never as mortal as it looked. Before we close, if this opened something in you, hit the subscribe button and become the part of the outer channel. We make these independently, which requires weeks of research and real work. Your support, a like, a subscribe, a share with someone who needs to hear this, is what keeps this going.
Her alarm goes off and she gets up to watch the morning news. Doesn't work no more but tells a lot of stories about her youth. Drinks more lately, ain't got pills in many different colors too. Morning light is showing, she moves the chair to look out at her view. But her shop was built right across the street. It stands where the sunrise used to be. In the afternoons on the couch to read, goes through old pictures and memories. Our heroes have been forgotten. Our heroes so brave and bold. Our heroes have been forgotten. Our heroes so they got old. Our heroes have been forgotten.